Pittsburgh Steelers, Green Bay Packers. When I saw it go across the ticker on the bottom of these sports screens, it just looks good.
You thought John Facenda should have been doing the voiceover.
From the frozen tundra. It is a great matchup, and I'm thinking, wow, the Steelers have 6 Super Bowls, Packers have 3, they have all these NFL championships before that. What is neat, and I think these two teams really, I mean, they're small market teams, but I think this is going to be huge for the ratings, huge draw, because you have the Green Bay Packers that were the baby boomer generation. They grew up with Lombardi and Nitschke and Bart Starr. And then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers that basically dominated the 70s. And I think you've got, and you can explain this a little bit more, but you had these fans that jumped on there, and the ones that were older brought their kids along, and that's what we're seeing now, correct?
Yeah, a couple years ago when the Steelers were about to go to the Super Bowl, I went out there for a couple of days and spent some time with them at practice.
Well, Dan Kreider was there then.
Yes.
From Man Central guy.
And Deuce Staley, who was then with the Steelers,
former
was
Eagle,
talking to him about this, the popularity that the team has that goes far beyond just the city of Pittsburgh. And he said, you know, there's a lot of people who had babies in the 70s, and to those people, the Steelers were the football team, and they translated that to their kids, and he thinks that's a big part of the popularity. I think that's true. I think going back a generation earlier than that is the explanation for the Packers, and I think the Packers also just seem like almost a storybook franchise. This tiny town where there really isn't anything but the NFL. The team is municipally owned. It's owned by the residents of Green Bay, which is a very cool and unusual thing. Now, the other thing about that you made me think of when you talked about small markets is how meaningless small market is in the NFL, because it's a league with a hard salary cap that is just raking in the money left and right. Everybody every franchise in the NFL is staggeringly rich, and the market thing is not really an issue.
We can talk about this later, but who wins this game? What do you see playing out? From what you saw last Saturday, or Sunday, the championship games, what's going to translate on the field February 6th?
Well, we were talking about this a little bit ago upstairs, and I can't remember a Super Bowl where I had less of an idea coming off of the conference championship games who I would pick in the game. I mean, if you held a gun to my head, I kind of think I would pick the Steelers if you literally held a gun to my head right now, but we will probably talk about this next week on the Low Post, where we really get into the matchup and make our prediction. But man, it's a very, very even game.
The point spread was 2.5 yesterday.
I'm really surprised that the Packers are favored.
Yeah, the Packers are favored by 2. There's so many little interesting stories. Dom Capers used to be a defensive coordinator for the Steelers. In fact, I think Dick LeBeau was there and then came back.
I think that's right.
Capers was in between. Mm-hmm. Kevin Green, who was a star player for the Steelers, long hair, I led him in sacks at one time in that zone blitzing they do. Guess what? He's on the Packers staff now, doing the same. Okay, got a long hair guy in Clay Matthews, just like Kevin Green.
It all fits together.
It's really some interesting storylines with this thing that I think are going to play out. Who has the more stars may make a factor here with the different weapons they have. I think it could come down to the way the Steelers ran the ball against the Jets, who had a good run defense. If they can run the ball against the Packers aren't that good against the run. Could that be the missing ingredient? Well, Mendenhall could be big for the Steelers.
He really could. He's a tough cookie. But here's a small thing that I'm just going to throw out there. Aaron Rodgers played terrific early in the game, the same level that he's been playing at for a while now. He got hit in the mouth, helmet
bloody
combat.
Tongue, yeah.
He was bleeding. Who knows? He's had a concussion earlier this year. Who knows? He didn't really do much in the game after that. Didn't really get a whole lot done in the game after that. Now, we got 2 weeks until we play the Super Bowl. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that's an element in this thing going forward.
I think it's good there's 2 weeks to recover.
Good for him, yeah.
If not, you would have had Flynn in there for the Packers. That wouldn't have been a very good matchup.
That's no good.